Okay. This is wild. So, the 90s at noon, I've got Shirley Manson and Butch Vig in the room at KROQ. Family. They're KROQ family. And we're about to host an entire hour of 90s music that they chose. So, we're going to start with a garbage song that I hear. Legend has it that this song has something to do with The Clash, and it was written in 30 minutes. Do you know what song I'm talking about?
Yes,
okay.
I do. It was written in about 30 minutes, and it started with a loop from The Clash's Train in Vain.
Okay.
So the drum loop you hear at the start, we built the whole song on that, and we tried to write what we call a groovy bass line, just sort of a repetitive bass line, and that's the whole basically the core of the song.
And the demos, what I was reading, the demos were when Shirley wasn't an official member of Garbage yet. She was just maybe not, right?
Yeah, well...
I was illegal.
Yeah. She would have been deported. Cheryl came over to Madison, took a leap of faith to work with Duke and Steve and me, and that was one of the first songs that we had some instrumentals to, and she sang. And actually, it was the second time you came over, because the first time... We played some instrumentals for it, said, go ahead, sing, make up some lyrics. And she was like, okay, and it was quite awkward and wasn't really very fruitful. And she flew home.
It was a disaster.
It was a disaster. But then she called us a week later and said, I know what to do with these songs. So we flew her back, and she sang Queer and Stupid Girl and Vow were all done like in a couple days.
Shirley, when did you find out? When did you know that you knew what to do with the songs? Like, what did that mean?
Well, his memory of things are slightly different from mine, as is our collective memories are all over the shop.
Yeah.
But I remember singing Stupid Girl, actually, I'd got the gig at this point. I was official, and we were at Smart Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, and we were recording Stupid Girl, and my recollection of it is it took 6 hours.
Okay.
And the reason it took 6 hours is I kept on singing Stupid Girl, and they'd go, no, you need to say Stupid Girl. And I'm like, I'm saying Stupid Girl. Because my accent was, I'm saying Stupid Girl. I'm saying Stupid Girl. And they were like, yeah, but Stupid Girl.
Girl.
And it went on
Girl.
and on and on for hours. That's my memory of it.
Okay, well, let's hear Stupid. Why don't you introduce it, Shirley, the way that you want to.
Okay.
Go for it.
This is Garbage's big hit, Stupid Girl.
On the world's famous KROQ's 90s at noon. That's Stupid Girl, Garbage, and Butch Vig and Shirley Manson are here. I'm Nicole Alvarez. We were having a great conversation off the air, and Butch is like, we need to talk about this on the air. So we're just talking about authenticity, because I was telling Shirley sometimes, you're on camera and then there's the trolls, and all they want to do is tell you, what is wrong with you. But Shirley was saying that the culture, the time for being perfect is over.
I think so.
So take it from there. Like, let's let him in on what we were talking about a little bit.
I guess I was just talking about how I feel the culture is shifting really fast away from that kind of Kardashian perfection, where all of us as human beings felt that we were supposed to be perfectly groomed and only photographed from a certain angle, and everything had, our nails had to be manicured and this, that, and the next thing. And I feel like that's sort of outdated. All of a sudden, I just feel a shift in the culture, and young people are seeking something with a bit more authenticity. I mean, again, I'm not saying I'm right, but that's just how I sort of feel the shift in culture.
Look, Butch is nodding his head yes. Why are you nodding your head at her?
Well, it seems like culture and music, in fact, life in general, goes in cycles, and sometimes I think our band Garbage probably finds the cycle somewhat agreeable, and then it flips over, and it's just not fun for a while. But right now, I just feel like, even though, I don't want to get into too many politics today, but there's a lot going on with the current administration that I don't necessarily agree with. But I feel like there's an upswell, a ground rising of positivity and people sort of trying to take their lives into their own hands, and I think that's a good thing. And I could start to hear that in some of the new music I've been listening to.
It's like the swell of alternative culture.
Yeah, and usually it's a reaction to how, when things get bad, then some really interesting music comes out, because a lot of the artists or singers or lyricists want to talk about the world they live in. So, I just feel like despite what's going on, there's a lot of really good things happening right now.
I'm Nicole Alvarez, and I'm here with Garbage, Shirley Manson, and Butch Vig. Welcome. First of all, and thank you. Did I thank you? No. How rude. Thank you for being here.
Well,
God,
thank you.
I just
Thanks for
made
us.
you sit down, and I'm like, we just
Don't be
started
stupid.
talking. You picked this next song, and I want to hear what you have to say about it, because it's when I was a little girl, Shirley, I was a teenager, I couldn't relate to a lot of the other teenage girls in my orbit. And then this band happened upon my world, and I was like, oh, these are my people. Same thing when I heard your voice, I'm like, that's my girl. So I'm just gonna say it, L7. What do we think of L7?
Oh my God, what do we... I mean, first of all, Butch produced this next track, so it's in the family, so to speak, and we're just back from South America, where we played with L7 as a double bill, and it was really incredible.
And we go danced on stage when they played Pretend We're Dead. We bum rushed them around on stage, and we go danced for a song.
It was amazing.
Okay,
They're amazing people.
Does that mean you're going to go dance now, Butch? Because the song is playing.
It's too early in the day.
This is on film. Okay, I'm going to work on it for you guys, but for now, we're going to sit back and enjoy these absolute savage, legendary women. L7, Pretend We're Dead. It's the 90s at noon with Garbage on KROQ. L7, Pretend We're Dead from Bricks Are Heavy, which Butch Vig produced. I'm Nicole Alvarez, and I'm here with Shirley Manson and Butch Vig, and we were talking about that band L7, and then I'm just going to hand it over to the both of you. It's important, I think, that they get their moment in the spotlight, so go for it.
Hell yeah. I mean, we just came back from South America, and L7 were opening for us, and we were all practically crying when they took the stage, and they sat, they played a billion and one amazing songs, and much like Garbage, L7 has sort of been in the wilderness a bit, because culture has been so fixated on pop music. That's kind of what we feel has been sort of in the mainstream, is all this decades of pop. And now I think, much like Garbage, we see a whole new generation of young people really turning on to alternative culture, to L7, and giving them the love, actually, and reverence that they deserve, because they're just this authentic bunch of beasts out there. Fearless with incredible songs and raw power, and they've changed the world for women like you and me, and for a lot of women like us. So here's to L7.
Butch, I'm going to ask you something. I was looking at a bunch of your interviews yesterday, just being professional, and not once do people not ask you about Nirvana. Do you ever tire of that?
Not really, because it's such a huge part of my life. Garbage wouldn't exist if Nirvana had not happened, and obviously my career would probably be a lot different if Nirvana had not happened. There was a time, though, when Garbage started, where no one knew who Shirley was. They didn't know who Garbage was, and we would be doing an interview, and I could see the journalists just getting fidgety, like they're Garbage, so you made this record? Yeah. And they just wanted to get the Garbage section over it so they could go, what was Kurt Cobain like? And after a while, I told our publicist, because I didn't want to talk about Nirvana. For a couple years, I didn't really say anything in the press. And
that makes perfect sense. Shirley, did being part of that and like wanting to talk about your band and then watching the press want to push Nirvana, did that ever bug you?
I don't know if bug is the word. It worried me a wee bit, because the spectre of Kurt Cobain and Nirvana and their legacy, which is enormous, it's historical, it's going to go down, there's going to be a Marilyn Monroe and a Jimi Hendrix and a Nirvana, It concerned me a little, because I felt like we were going to get drowned out by that legacy, because it was so big and powerful. And so, it was frustrating at times, because Kurt Cobain has been a spectre over our career, as Butch said. It's been there, but we have survived and somehow managed to negotiate ourselves around that spectre. And I'm very proud of Butch, and proud to be in a band with Butch, who's had this incredible experience, and with a legendary record that is one of the greatest in rock and roll history. So
well, let's celebrate some Nirvana, shall we?
Okay.
Indeed, let's do it.
We're going to do Lithium is what we're going to do. This is what was chosen. I don't know who chose it. I think my boss did. It's the 90s at noon
That's
with
okay.
Garbage on KROQ.
That's okay.
I'm Nicole Alvarez. I'm here with Butch Vig and Shirley Manson. What a time I'm having with you two. I'm watching you rock out to that song, but you're playing the drums, and Shirley, you're like, I just see it in your face. Like, you're consuming it. When you go to shows or when you hear songs, or no, when you go to shows and you see other bands live, are you able to just be a fan, or are you also a student, or like what is going through your mind when you're anywhere that you're watching music?
Well, if it's good music, I'm a fan and I'm a student.
Okay.
Always.
Yes, but you're able to still like just enjoy it separate from like okay, Butch.
Yeah, the same thing. If I've had a few glasses of Sauvignon Blanc, I'm probably more of a fan. But I'm constantly analyzing isn't the right term, but anytime I hear something cool, I file it back in my brain, or I think, darn, I wish I had written that. Or it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Or it's a good idea.
What
Maybe something like that could be incorporated into a garbage song or whatever. I listen to a lot of new music too, and I'm always astounded how cool the production is, and I need to do that just to keep my vocabulary fresh,
But also, you said it earlier, you're a nerd, and like you're constantly consuming new ways of doing everything that you love to do.
I'm a super nerd. Yep.
So let's talk about the new Garbage record. Who wants to talk about it first?
Well, that's a broad subject.
It's a broad subject, and one thing I read, Shirley, is that I don't know if this is accurate or not, but that you were mostly insane when you wrote it.
I don't know if I'd say I was mostly insane. I had performed at the KROQ Weenie Roast many years ago now, maybe 5 years ago, and I had fallen off stage and hurt myself on the crash barrier and battered my right hip so badly that it kind of disintegrated on me a couple of years ago. We were on tour with Alanis Morissette, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I can't walk properly. What the hell's going on? And I needed a full hip replacement. And then a year later, last summer, we were just about to play Wembley Arena in London, and I was so excited about it, and I had the similar experience on my left hip. I'm like, oh my God, oh, not again. And so I was on a lot of pain medication whilst we were making and completing this new record. And so when I said I was insane during the making of it, I was just dealing with a lot of pain, and pain will drive you out of your mind.
Absolutely. I also read that, I mean, we're living through some very crazy times, political and otherwise, but that you chose to stay on the optimistic path.
Yeah, I felt like our previous record, No Gods, No Masters, was a really political record, and I was basically tolling warning bells because I saw basically where our society was heading, and we came to make this new record, and it was 5 years later, and the world had gone to exactly the place I imagined it would be, and I realised that if I employed the fury from the last record, I would not only go mad, but it was a redundant approach. So I felt like we had to come at making the music from a different perspective.
Okay.
So
we'll be back with more 90s at noon and more talk of new Garbage records next. I was watching an interview with you, Shirley, where you talk about Courtney and you say she's a woman's woman. She's a woman that doesn't mind sharing the room with other women, and there's a lot to be said for that. And you're one of those women who've kicked the door open for others, but her in particular, she's a powerhouse.
yeah, I miss Courtney. I have to say, I miss everything that she stood for, and her wildness and her intelligence and her courage. You know, she has endured so much misogyny and sexism. It's astounding. You know, they've basically accused her of killing her own husband. You know, I mean, it's like frightful. Like what she's endured is pretty astounding, and she's remarkably fragile in a way, and also just this incredible, like you said, powerhouse. And I know she's got a really good record coming. It's very exciting.
Has anything that she's ever said in the media shocked you? Because she has not held back about, not only about her feelings, but about certain individuals in the industry that we all know. She's never held back, and she's been right about so many of them.
She's almost always right about the things she says in public. People have written her off as crazy, you know, which they often do about women who've got a very hard opinion.
You know.
But she's called the shots on a lot of, like, corrupt men in particular in the media, and she's been proven over time to be correct. And so she's not as crazy as they try and make her out to be.
If I had $1 for every time they called me crazy, Shirley.
Oh, yeah, you and I, we'd be billionaires, baby.
But I used to not like it. I used to think it was a dirty word, and now I'm like, thank you.
I am a witch.
I am a witch. Thank you very much. So we're wrapping up with Butch and Shirley of Garbage. Thank you so much for doing this. It was a good time. I hope you come back, but we're going to play There's No Future in Optimism. So Butch, tell us about the new record. What stands out for you about making it? And go. You have the floor.
Well, it's our 8th album. And I think Shirley touched on this a little bit. You know, it's sort of a stepping stone from No Gods, No Masters, which is our most political record. But there's a lot of light and optimism in this record.
Yeah.
And hope, I think. And the songs are a lot of them are quite cinematic sounding. There's some sound design. We used a lot of analog synths. And there's strings on The Day I Met God on the last song. But it's a garbage record. It sounds like us.
Let All That We Imagine Be Light, out next Friday. Shirley, do you feel this one is different for you in some way?
I think every time you make a record, you want it to be different.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point in just always making the same record? You know what I mean? And I know that the fans a lot rail against the fact that our music sounds very different from the first record.
But that's what you're supposed to do.
30 years on as an artist, I would hope that you're always growing and always changing.
You would hope.
And you never want to stay the same. So every time we step up to make a new record, I want it to be different. And I that's what I strive towards.
And you don't, and you shouldn't. It's just like every day you should strive to be a different, more evolved version of yourself. And you shouldn't care that it's making somebody else uncomfortable. You should always strive to evolve. And musicians should be allowed to do the same thing. Are you excited to go on the road for this one? Will anything be different as far as the tour?
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it's also the longest tour we've done in years, so it's quite intimidating. Yeah.
Get ready.
Yeah, I mean, we basically hit the road on September 1st, and I don't think we come home until the middle of December. So it's going to be quite an ordeal, I think. But we feel like, you know what, we're all still healthy. The 4 of us, all original members. We've enjoyed a 30-year career. It's kind of extraordinary, and we want to celebrate
It's not kind of extraordinary. It's completely extraordinary. Completely.
Woo! Let's hear it for us.
Let's hear it. But what is your favorite part, by the way, of touring? Like, is it the tour bus?
No, he hates touring.
I know. I'm totally messing with him.
It's hanging out backstage after sound check with my bandmates. And we sort of have a ritual. We all kind of relax a little bit, and then we might crack a little tequila or some wine, but we pace ourselves. And then Steve, who we call DJ Sloppy, he'll start putting on music, and he's got a really eclectic style and taste. So we never know where the set's going to start or what he's going to go into, but it's fun. And we like hanging out with each other. I mean, I think if we didn't, we probably wouldn't be touring, you know. So it's kind of, it's this little bubble we're in, you know. It's at the family, we're all getting ready to go on stage, and that's kind of what's the most fun. And then performing is great. It's just the travel that is kind of really a pain in the butt. Yeah.
Thank you both for being here so much. We'll see you at Ohana, and then we'll just figure out the rest later, right?
Right on.
You guys can come back anytime you want. We're going to play Garbage. There's No Future in Optimism. You want to say bye? You want to say bye?
Cheerio.
Cheerio, and have a nice day.
And thank you to KROQ for 30 years of support.